Jerry Salyers is a name that everybody here probably knows. He has links everywhere in the Miami Valley with baseball, and really the Midwest, and really the nation. He is somebody that we've talked about the last several years as an association about somebody that is constantly pursuing helping young men get better and helping the game of baseball be spread. When I was at Waynesville, my first head coaching job, he was one that I went to, and he gave me bats for a youth camp. He said, whatever it takes to help you get on your feet. And I went to him, I said, okay, how much is this going to cost? He said, go ahead and take it. Spread the game of baseball, help the kids grow and, build that community up. So I've always appreciated that from Jerry. I'll go ahead and introduce now Steve Dankoff, who will be inducing and inducting Jerry into the 2014 Hall of Fame.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will try to be brief. I'm going to talk a little bit longer than I might. Jerry's not feeling particularly well this evening, so maybe I'll say some things that he would otherwise have had an opportunity to say. Some of you may know me, some of you don't. I'm Judge Steve Dankoff of the Montgomery County Common Pleas Court, so hopefully I won't be asking any of you to rise as a defendant anytime soon. About 20 years ago, I had the pleasure of being the Master of Ceremonies for the NABF Sophomore World Series that was being held in Miamisburg that year. And at the banquet before the tournament began, I had occasion to speak to the players and their parents that were assembled there that evening. And I made the observation that night that the kids ought to give a great vote of thanks to their coaches, and that I wanted them to do it that evening, and I wanted them to reflect on the fact that at the age of 14, that many of them were being coached by the best coach that they'd ever have in their lives. And the fact of the matter is that any number of Jerry's players went on to play college ball. Some played professionally for a time. Two of Jerry's former players are here tonight, cared enough to be here. My son, Steve Jr., and Kyle Guesswine is here tonight. Andy Campbell is here, Jerry's son with his wife. I think it would be safe to say that for Steve Jr. there would have been no Yale University but for Jerry. I think it would be safe to say for Kyle, who holds, I think, most of the hitting records at Michigan State. There probably would have been no Michigan State but for Jerry. My son and the boys, I wanted to tell you one story that I thought was kind of interesting. It's an X's and O's story, but I think it has a little bit of reflection on what kind of a guy Jerry was and what kind of a coach Jerry was. Steve, too, played in the SWBL. He played for Oakwood. And in '97, they shocked the world by winning the state tournament. Somebody said something to me, and when the game was over in Columbus at Bill Davis Stadium, they said, if we'd have told you before the season started Oakwood was going to win the state title, you'd have told us that we were crazy. I said, if you'd have told me in the 7th inning we were going to win the state title, I would have told you you were crazy. But on the march to the state title that year, they had a particularly tough game. Winds up being a one-run victory over Versailles, a perennial power locally in baseball. And in that game, Oakwood ran a pickoff play at a particularly crucial time. 3 boys were involved in that play. The pitcher, Robbie Corrado, went on to play for Kentucky, drafted by the New York Yankees. He was pitching, Steve was playing second base, and a kid that played a lot of ball with both of them, Tommy DeFranco, was at short. They ran a pickoff play that was Jerry's play. And that play worked, as opposed to the pickoff play that the Oakwood coach had installed that would never work. And the boys decided about halfway through the season that if they needed a pickoff at a crucial time, they were calling Jerry's play. And they called that play, and the interesting thing was the Oakwood coach who got the credit for it never realized it wasn't his play. But that's another story. after Steve made the post team as a 13-year-old, Jerry and Paul Zimmerman, who's here tonight, who was Jerry's assistant, came to our house and met with Steve's mother and I. And they gave us business cards. Jerry told us that we could call him anytime, day or night, with any concern that we might have about our son. He told us that there were two things that he would not discuss with us, however, under any circumstance. He told us he would never, ever talk to us about our son's playing time. And he said, you know, your son's 13 now, and it's time he learns to fight his own battles. He doesn't need his mom or his dad inquiring about that. If he wants to wonder why he's not playing or what he can do to get more time, he can come and talk to me. And the other thing Jerry told us that night was that he would never, ever allow us to compare our son's skills to any other player on the team. And Jerry indicated that he just simply would not do it because he knew that doing so would sow the seeds of dissension in the team, and he wouldn't stand for it. And when Jerry and Paul walked out that night, my wife and I turned to each other and we realized that we had entrusted our son to a coach, to a real coach. And I think that's something that all of you should reflect on. And I know that you do. I know you do this and do what you do for the right reasons. You have such profound impact on the lives of the boys that play for you, and in some cases perhaps girls. And you have profound impact, I think, beyond what you can imagine with the families that you touch over the years. And Jerry Salyers is somebody I hardly go through a couple of days without reflecting on the stories that we were sharing again tonight. And when Kyle and his mom and dad got here and sharing them with Andy, and they bring back the memories and they flood back through the mists of memory, and it's just a beautiful thing. And I want you all to embrace what you do and how important you are to so many people. I did want to reflect, I think, maybe on one little personal story. Fortunately for Stephen, he took after his mother, who was quite an accomplished college athlete, lettered in about 4 different sports, as opposed to taking after me, in which case he wouldn't have been playing for Jerry. Steve was, like so many of you all in this room and your children and the people that have played for you, was pretty proficient in a number of sports. And I was curious years later, when he's a grown man and reflecting on experiences that I never had as an athlete, and I wondered what experience stood out to him. Was it a particular track meet or a football game or the state champ? What was it? And Steve did not hesitate to say that the thing that stood out most for him in his life as an athlete was the day he found out he made Jerry's post team in 1994 as a 13-year-old. And I think that says it all about what Jerry Salyers has meant to so many of us and to our family. On behalf of Jerry, all of us that consider you a friend and love you very much, we had the time of our lives. Ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Salyers. If Jerry would stand down there, I for once would be as tall as him.
I have some real health issues right now, so I will be very brief. My apologies. First of all, thank you, the Miami Valley Coaches Association. When I got the call, you could have blown me away. I do try to help everybody. None of our coaches could ever say, I said, Steve played for me, Kyle played for me, Andy played for me. You played for us. We were a team. I got a wonderful wife. We got great players that are here. And as you all know, you're only as good as your players. I got families that were in our program over 20 years ago. That's pretty cool. You know, we still stay in touch. Went to Kyle's wedding. But you know, the real secret is you got to surround yourself but good coaches, and you got to trust them. We got Danny Turner here from Carlisle. Terrific coach. We just let him do his thing. Got Ronnie Simpson, coached at Franklin for about 130 years. I don't know. Great coach. He just didn't have to say anything. And Paul Zimmerman and I were together for just short of 25 years. And we'd go at it on till he what, by the end of the day, we'd slap high five, get us a Diet Coke, and everything was great. So again, I want to thank all my dear friends. And congratulations to the recipients tonight. My speech isn't as good as others, but it's certainly from the heart. And I got a wonderful wife, great family, great friends. You just can't ask for any more. Thanks so much.
Good job. It's very good. It's very good.
Congratulations again to Jerry on a terrific accomplishment.